Good morning, math friends. So today we're going to be looking at page 200 with still some proving identities here. And we're going to start with problem number 47. So if you look at problem number 47, you see that we have cosine theta plus 1 divided by tangent squared theta, and then equals cosine theta divided by secant theta minus 1. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. I tried this problem a few times. And, as many times as I worked on the left side, didn't quite turn out so well. It was a very long process, so I'm going to try this side working on the right. A lot of times with identities, it takes a few tries just to get it the way that's most efficient. So here we go. One of the things I notice is that on the right side, I have a cosine theta divided by secant theta minus 1. What I want is to get a tangent squared theta on the left, on the denominator. So what I'm going to think about doing here is multiplying by the conjugate for my first step. So I'm going to have cosine theta divided by secant theta minus 1, and the conjugate of this denominator is going to be secant theta plus 1. And I'm going to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by it. So we have secant theta plus 1 times cosine of theta, and over here secant theta minus 1 times secant theta plus 1. A lot of times what happens here is we end up simplifying the denominator a little bit so that we can end up using one of those Pythagorean identities, and hopefully that's what we'll end up with here. So I'm going to distribute the numerator. So we have cosine theta times secant of theta, and then plus cosine theta times 1 is cosine of theta. And on the denominator, if I multiply secant theta by secant theta, I'm going to get secant squared theta plus secant theta minus secant theta. That cancels out, and negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. So if you remember from your Pythagorean identity, secant squared theta minus 1 is equal to tangent squared theta. So now on my denominator, I have what I'm looking for, and I just need to think about how to get my numerator to be what I want. So cosine of theta times secant of theta is like saying cosine of theta times 1 over cosine of theta. And then we have plus cosine of theta. And so the cosine of thetas cancel out over here, and we're left with 1 plus cosine of theta over the tangent squared theta. So this is almost what we want. I just need to rearrange my numerator. So cosine of theta plus 1 over tangent squared theta, and now we have exactly what we want. And then we are done with that one.